All right, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. Now, there's some pretty big levels that we've officially broken below. First thing I want to do is go out to the weekly to demonstrate kind of where we closed at here on this week. As you go back, you can see we had our 2021 high right there at around 17.95, and that's where you kind of broke below and things got really shaky and bad. And that was really your entry for every single short. As you can see, we talked about this previous days. Broke, retest, shot down directly. Now, since then, too, I've done a lot of updates on Twitter, so I recommend you check that out. The link is down below so you can see everything in between there. But a little bit of progression here on the hourly. As you can see, we came back into our level. We actually had a little bit of a false breakout, formed a demand up there, or supply zone up there, and shot back to the downside. Very weak, closing the week basically at lows. And we also closed below this level right here as well. The previous low that we had there in the is that pre-market? Yeah, I think it was like last night, like remember, like 10 o'clock locally, right? And then we kind of closed right there. Pretty terrible closure on Nasdaq. Now, as you go into ES, you can also see where we're at. Better close here. ES is definitely holding up, held above 5,000. Dow, pretty decent day, right? So we can kind of see the story's a little weird here, right? Right? Dow looks good. ES looks okay. Nasdaq looks terrible. So let's talk about that. Let's break that down specifically. Now, also, if you see our indicators here and what we're looking at, that link for that is down below. Lux Algo. Use code OD40 for 40% off your first purchase, yearly, whatever you would decide to do. Just give you a shout out there. Now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what happened, why you dropped, and everything in between. Number one, Israel, Gaza. This is not a political YouTube video, but this is just an opinion on how this is affecting us. Israel, Gaza obviously was big thing that's been happening the past week. Now, the anticipation was Israel attacking Gaza, and how would this be? Now, Israel apparently attacked, not Gaza, Iran, whatever, right? So you can go down a laundry list, see all the news that kind of happened there. But this is kind of what's happening here, is that it was an attack, very minimal to Iran. Nothing was really damaged. And you're seeing this narration that maybe the worst is over, right? Now, I think that's really optimistic, but what I will say is if this calms down, I think we're in a very good position to see buyers step back up. I'll talk about that here in a second. But, you know, obviously I was only really, I'm still kind of bearish, right? But we have to realize why we dipped, okay? Now, this is number one of why we dipped, right? Obviously, the biggest driving force was potential, a war, right? That's number one. Now, I don't think it's over. We got to be watching this over the weekend, but I'll be paying close attention to it. Number two, mortgage rates, they rise to their highest point since December. Pretty terrible. 30-year fixed mortgages, like 7.1, 7.2%. Pretty bad, okay? Now, I've been saying this for a while. If the mortgage rates drop and Fed cut rates, which would drop mortgage rates, you see the market spike. But as mortgage rates rise, obviously, it's detrimental. Now, again, I will say, based on the inflation reports, I think most inflationary metrics are dropping, except a few. Okay, but we'll talk about that later. But mortgage rates will not drop. The mortgage rates cannot drop, right? And the housing issue will persist. Housing and shelter, rents, whatever, will all rise as long as mortgage rates stay this high. So it's a very important thing to understand. Raising rates will not make shelter and rents go down. They will not. Understand that. You have to understand that, okay? Next up, Fed says the persistent inflation is seen as a top financial risk, okay? If this consist going over, you could see a really sharp spike in unemployment. Now, they've said that they wanted to see that, but they don't want to see it happen in an unhealthy manner. They wanted to see unemployment slowly rise, and that's kind of been a problem, right? So again, I've acknowledged that I was wrong about a few of my projections. I've acknowledged that, but these are very important to understand about how we're moving and what's happening here. Now, we've seen the Fed. This is what I want to say, though. I don't get too hung up on some of the things that a few of the Fed members say, because they continue to backtrack on their statements. We've seen Powell say the market's great, soft landing coming. He said, I never said soft landing. So I will say, like, I don't get too hung up on it. Eventually they're going to have to cut rates. It's just something that has to happen, especially because what I talked about with housing, rents, etc. But yeah, something to think about. It was in the beige book. We talked all about that as well. Okay. That's the big point there. Now, we're going to go back into the charts, but before we do that, look, if you're interested, the broker that I use, I trade options on everything that I do with my trading now is all on Moomoo. I'm personally in this like area with my partnership with them to where I'm getting trusted, which is weird, but like it's basically so I can say what I want about the platform and how I use it and cover more on their platform without being like a financial like a risk to their company. So I have to be really careful with things that I say right now. But yeah, we've signed a really long-term deal. I have all my money in that account now personally, or like a lot of the money going into that one for day trading. So you'll see more stuff around options I'm liking, etc. They have a lot of promotions. The link is down below. Check them out. So yeah, sponsor of the channel. Yeah, cool. Anyways, back to the charts. Now, the interesting thing here. Okay, let's actually get rid of volume. I hate having volume on my chart when I'm going over like anything, right? Okay, let's talk about SPY and Qs first. We came to our level. Now SPY, this was our level. Remember we said we break. Now we didn't get the retest. We did not get the retest at 508, but our target was 504. Under that, you were illiquid down to 497. You had support all down, a little bit of a demand, and then another level right there as well, showing from Lux Algo. Big things there. So we're coming into our target, right? Now, if you proceed to drop through this, you're gonna have a lot of issues as well, because let me just grab one of these levels to make it quick. There is not a lot of support here either. Okay, let's make that really, really clear. We start to break below, 490, 482 comes quick, 477 can come even quicker. Okay, so very illiquid when we look at this area. That's why, again, I say kind of a now or never type situation to see if we're actually gonna start getting some of that bounce. You can see we get illiquid here, down to here, then you have no liquidity all the way down to like 478. So things to consider. Now Qs, we go here and you're bouncing at literally the key level that we talked about. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like previous high right there, we talked about it. You had a big level here, 416, 417. We stopped there for a second, then proceeded back down. You go to like the 1 hour, you can actually see we actually got below that level. Perfect break, retest, boom, to the downside. Perfect price action, all the levels, it was all kind of given there for you. Now, again, when you drop like this, you're creating illiquidity back to the upside. So that is a concern. However, I'm going to say right now, you're getting into an area on Nasdaq specifically to where you start seeing a lot of support here. We knew there was a lot of illiquidity up here, but we knew once we get down here, you were going to start seeing more support. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is like, I need to hit the brakes on some of the puts and start recognizing if things start to turn around with Israel and Iran and that calms down and buyers start to get a little bit of momentum in the market, we could easily start bouncing back up. Okay. Now I'm not there yet. Just like I had to get confirmation for downside. What do we have to get for upside? Yes. We got to get confirmation for upside. Crazy world. Who would have thought? Same rules apply to the upside as they do to the downside and back to the upside. It's all the same. Who would have thought? Now, there's a few things though. Okay. Now I was covering volume a little bit earlier before I went to the gym. But yeah, volume actually ended pretty good here at the end of the day, around 90 million. Not terrible. High. One of your highest volumes on the day besides Monday. Probably ends higher since market. Yeah, maybe. Probably getting right below 92 million. But still pretty decent. Okay. The question though is how do we come out Monday here, right? Again, as we're getting down into these major supports, I have to pump the brakes. So I got like Truth in the background. Just got him from school, dude. Getting a cough. Apologize. But yeah, those are the big things right now, right? And so I just hit the brakes a little bit. Now, what I will say though is hypothetically we start dipping and we start breaking below 412, 410. A real possibility comes in of, do we come down to the 200 SMA? Okay, so let's say let's make this really clear, right? This level is going to be key. This little level, right? If you break down, retest, I think you're targeting near the 200 SMA. I think it's just a clear target. Okay. If you bounce, obviously you're not looking for that. You're looking for a remount to 417 and hopefully pushing back into 421, 424, etc. Okay. Nasdaq gives a really good picture of this as well, right? So if we start losing this level where we're at, staying below, previous pre-market lows, or pre-market lows from yesterday, again, you're looking for that downside into the 200 SMA 16.7. Make it really clear. 200 daily SMA, right? So our targets are really aligned here and they make perfect sense. I'm urging caution into this level though. How do we react going into next week? The biggest thing though, I'm telling you right now, this is the biggest thing. Israel, Iran. If we get calmness over the weekend here, I don't see how we don't bounce. I just don't. Personal opinion, whatever. Okay. It was also, I think it was OPEX today as well. We had a lot of contracts closing. So the fact that we had a lot of downside just kind of like steamrolled. Once the snowball got going, it was just really pushing us down. So it was obvious the trade was to the downside for today. Okay, so that's where we're at there. But that's that. Now, going to DXY, what's happening here? Kind of just trending, not really doing too much. You look decent. It doesn't look bearish at all yet, so we'll highlight that. Making lower highs, but doesn't look bad. Going into the 30-year yield, same thing. Not really doing nothing, just chilling. Bitcoin, your halving is literally like Bitcoin halving timer. Like, again, I think it's like in a few hours. So, like, should happen this weekend. I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin. Gonna tell you that right now. I think dips are a massive opportunity. Do what you gotta do with that information. But yeah, so again, there's just a lot of risk on factors that are interesting. Again, like this is like a really tricky point because although technicals we've broken down, some of the reasons of why we've broken down, which is primarily this right here, is up in the air. It's a coin flip, right? What really happens from here? I agree. Some of the things the Fed are saying are problematic, but all of these things that the Fed have said, they've been saying since the beginning of the year. Okay. And so that's the real concern for me is if it hasn't brought you down, and this is obviously what brought us down, am I betting on things to change? So that's where I'm at there. Okay. Equities specifically, had some really great trades. We went over a lot of those. Netflix, dropped back down. I'm looking for Netflix to find some buyers around 550, 540. If not, you're probably dropping down to 500 flat. At that point, it would become a buying opportunity for me. If it hits a 200 SMA, it's an immediate buy. Meta, again, we talked about this yesterday. You break back below 494, it's a short. You went right down to our next level, 480. Congratulations. Under 480, you're looking for 469. Simple as that. Tesla, I'm just going to pray for Tesla at this point. You hit our level 146, but yeah, just keep praying for that thing for real. NVIDIA, this is probably one of the better opportunities out there right now. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, could you keep dropping? 100% you could. But I'm going to tell you, like, this is like, I think AI is going nowhere. When I see these dips happening in the market, I'm still net bullish long term. So I like what I'm seeing, right? I don't want to give trade ideas going into Monday right now. I'll have a video on Sunday. So yeah, I got to make sure I'm going to wait at least till I get some pre-market action on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, right? But yeah, I'm not going to get crazy here. I'll have another video on Sunday, so check that out. But yeah, I still like what, dude, I'm telling you, like, I couldn't be happier. AMD as well. Like, AMD, you got below, was another trade idea on the day here that we had in Discord. Like, we talked about it though. Right when you got back below your key level on the, 2021 highs, 164, dude, it was over. It was wraps, right? Broke, retest, boom, right to our next level. I'm looking for AMD to come down to the 200 SMA, but that's where it's a buy for me. Again, I love a lot of these plays personally. I'm chilling. I know there's a lot of names you guys want me to cover, but like, I'm just reacting at this point. I don't think we're going into a long-term bear market, personally. It's my opinion. And we have a lot of earnings as well. That's the other very big point, okay? You have a lot of earnings coming up. So I think there's no reason to freak out here. Again, my personal opinion. Look at next week, right, dude? You have Thursday on Microsoft, Apple, IBM, Boeing, right, Visa. Like, you have so many like earnings, and then the week after that you have Apple, Coinbase, right? We have Amazon, AMD. Where's Meta at here? Why the hell is Meta not on this chart? I can't believe I can't see Meta. But anyways, you have all these. All the big dogs are reporting basically in the next 2 weeks, besides Nvidia, which is like the end of the next month. But still, right? So I think jumping the gun, creating wild predictions is counterproductive here. I need to see what happens over the weekend. I'm going to have a video on Sunday, hopefully giving you some viewpoints, better trade ideas, better insight. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm thinking here. Hope you got something out of this. If you have questions, comment down below. Hopefully I can answer those over the weekend. Have a good one, traders. I'll see you on Sunday.